Making headlines this hour, two bodies are recovered among the Italian divers who were lost during a dive. The Minister of Climate Change, Environment and Energy, Ali Sharif, states that costs of fuel importation to the Maldives have greatly risen due to the Middle East conflict. According to a joint statement, a coalition of 10 nations, including the Maldives, has jointly condemned Israel's obstruction of the global Sumud Flotilla, an initiative traveling to deliver aid to distressed citizens in Gaza, Palestine.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Dham Naeem. Two bodies are recovered among the Italian divers who were lost during a dive.
According to the Maldives National Defence Force (MNDF), all four missing tourists were located during an operation conducted involving the MNDF Coast Guard, Police Service and foreign expert divers arranged by the Italian government. The MNDF said the bodies were found inside the cave where the group had been diving. Three experienced Finnish divers brought to the Maldives by the Italian government to assist in the recovery operation were described by the MNDF as specialists who had previously worked on similar missions in various countries across the world. The MNDF Coast Guard Maritime Rescue Coordination Center (MRCC) had received reports at approximately 1:30 p.m. on the 14th of May, Thursday, that 5 Italian divers had gone missing while diving in Vaavu Atoll. Subsequently, the MNDF launched an extensive search operation utilizing both maritime vessels and aircraft to locate the divers.
According to a joint statement, a coalition of 10 nations, including the Maldives, has jointly condemned Israel's obstruction of the global Sumud Flotilla, an initiative traveling to deliver aid to distressed citizens in Gaza, Palestine.
Military forces of the Jewish State of Israel halted several vessels participating in the flotilla within international waters and abducted the participants on board, the declaration stated. The formal declaration of condemnation was issued collaboratively by the foreign ministers of the Maldives, Brazil, Jordan, Pakistan, Spain, Bangladesh, Colombia, Indonesia, Turkey, and Libya. In a statement, the ministers strongly condemned the crimes committed by Israel in obstructing the global Sumud Flotilla, describing the initiative as a peaceful movement intended to draw international attention to the humanitarian crisis facing the Palestinian people. The joint declaration also detailed condemnation of previous crimes committed by Israeli forces involving interventions against vessels that traveled in the flotilla movement, noting grave concern regarding inhumane acts committed against human rights activists and civilian vessels. The foreign ministers affirmed that detaining participants and attacking these vessels constitute clear violation of international law, while diplomats underscored deep concern regarding the safety of the civilian participants involved in the Sumud Flotilla, prompting a unified call for the immediate release of the detained activists and assurance of their dignity and rights. Repeated attacks aimed at halting human rights activities represents a fundamental obstruction of international law and the freedom of navigation, the 10 foreign ministers observed. The international community must take steps to ensure the protection of civilians participating in such movements, the ministers urged, concluding that concrete mechanisms must be established to ensure accountability and guarantee that those responsible for these crimes face appropriate punishment.
Irtisham Adam, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, expresses appreciation for the invaluable contributions made by Su Kok Leng, the High Commissioner of Singapore to the Maldives, during a farewell courtesy call marking the end of his tenure. During the meeting held at the Foreign Ministry, Minister Irtisham conveyed gratitude to the government of Singapore for its continued support and assistance to the Maldives, acknowledging the close collaboration maintained between the Maldives and Singapore on matters related to small island states. High Commissioner Leng expressed his appreciation to the government and the people of the Maldives for the cooperation and friendship extended to him throughout his tenure. Singapore remains committed to strengthening the close bilateral ties and friendship between the two countries, he said, according to a statement by the Foreign Ministry. Minister Irtisham highlighted the importance placed by the Maldives on advancing close relations with Singapore, extending her best wishes to the High Commissioner in his future endeavours and pledging support and cooperation to the incoming non-resident High Commissioner of Singapore. Efforts are actively underway to identify the ongoing changes occurring along the coastal lines of the nation's islands. The Ministry of Climate Change, Environment and Energy states addressing a coastal erosion phenomena that has escalated into a major crisis and a significant concern for the public.
To deliver a comprehensive solution, numerous initiatives are being implemented at both the local island and national levels. Extensive shore protection operations are concurrently in progress with the assistance of the Green Climate Fund and the Japan International Cooperation Agency, the Environment Ministry noted. Work is also underway to finalize a national policy regarding coastal protection, an initiative that is already 65% completed. Outlining these developments, officials detailed policy progress and specific infrastructure targets. The Environment Ministry issued a statement which stated efforts are currently underway to formulate a national policy regarding coastal protection. Underscoring that a viable solution requires identifying underlying issues, the Environment Ministry explained that shifting coastal conditions must be adequately assessed. The ministry stated officials have utilized a specialized monitoring tool to document the coastal changes that occurred across the Maldivian islands between 2015 and 2023. The development of a coastal hazard map is also in progress, the ministry noted, with the mapping of 102 islands already completed under the initiative. The map is being systematically compiled by reviewing and identifying the formal complaints submitted by local councils. The Environment Ministry stated that once finalized, this mapping system will clearly delineate areas experiencing active erosion, zones of sediment accretion, and regions vulnerable to tidal swells.
The Minister of Climate Change, Environment and Energy, Ali Sharif, states that costs of fuel importation to the Maldives have greatly risen due to the Middle East conflict.
The minister stated this while speaking at a press conference held at the President's office by the Ministry of Climate Change, Environment and Energy concerning work done in the energy sector. As the Maldives is highly dependent on fuel, the change in market price of fuel impacts the country both directly and indirectly. The Middle East conflict in particular has raised fuel prices exponentially. Minister Ali Sharif stated that the government spends a great amount on fuel importation annually. While the government subsidizes fuel, a substantial portion of the state budget has been allocated for importing fuel due to the Middle East conflict, the minister informed. The Director General of the Ministry of Climate Change, Environment and Energy, Ahmad Ali, stated that 8,000 barrels of diesel per day have been allocated to providing electricity to inhabited islands. This is about 2.9 million barrels a year. Ahmad Ali detailed that prior to the Middle East conflict, $50 million was spent on fuel importation monthly. However, this figure has now risen to $160 million, he stated. He also noted that in order to solve this problem, the focus should be on utilizing renewable energy generated in the Maldives rather than relying on imported diesel or fuel. The Director General also stated that the Maldives highly depends on fuel to produce energy. For instance, in 2025 alone, $647.29 million was spent on fuel importation, comprising of 10% of the GDP of the country. He noted that this amount could otherwise be allotted to social and economic development projects, such as developing schools or hospitals. He added that the government aims to bring renewable energy usage to 33% by 2028. In addition to opting for renewable sources of energy, Ahmad Ali stated that energy wastage should be minimized to reduce reliance on imported fuel within the country.
The national carrier Maldivian Airlines welcomes its inaugural direct flight from Melbourne, Australia to Welana International Airport VAA, marking the first time in history that travellers can journey between the two destinations without connecting through a third country.
The arrival of the inaugural flight on the 19th May, carrying 240 tourists, was met with a celebratory atmosphere as traditional Maldivian drums echoed across the arrival hall as the island nation welcomed its guests from down under. The new route represents a significant expansion of the airline's international network and underscores the growing importance of the Australian market to the Maldives' tourism-dependent economy. The new service will operate on a weekly basis, with flights departing from Malé to Melbourne every Tuesday and returning to the Maldives on the same day the following week in an 11-hour journey. These operations are being conducted using Maldivian's wide-body aircraft, demonstrating the airline's commitment to providing comfort and reliability on long-haul routes. The decision to establish this direct connection came after extensive market research revealed that substantial demand for seamless travel options between the two countries, according to the Maldivian officials, who noted that advance bookings have exceeded expectations. The timing of this launch proves particularly significant given the current challenges facing global aviation. Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation Mohammed Amin highlighted that the number of tourists arriving in the Maldives has declined amid disruptions to international transport systems caused by regional instability in the Middle East. Australia is currently the 10th largest tourist source market for the Maldives, with 18,066 Australian visitors recorded as of the 16th of May, according to official tourism data. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Irutisham Adam, echoed these sentiments, emphasizing that the new air link will strengthen diplomatic and trade relations between Maldives and Australia. The minister further noted that direct flights from Melbourne to Malé will greatly facilitate tourism flows in both directions while positioning the Maldives as a more accessible destination for the significant Australian outbound travel market. Industry projections indicate that the new route is expected to bring around 11,000 additional tourists to the Maldives annually, providing a welcome boost to the island nation's tourism and business sectors. The strong initial demand serves as a promising indicator of the route's potential success, with Maldivian reporting that flights are already 50% booked on average and the first 3 scheduled services completely sold out. The addition of the wide-bodied aircraft to the national carrier's fleet, combined with the strategic expansion into the Australian market, represents what Minister Amin described as a huge boost to the Maldivian economy during this period of global transportation uncertainty.
Public Service Media PSM officially launches its coverage of this year's FIFA World Cup.
The launch ceremony held at PSM's TV building was attended by the Minister of Youth Empowerment, Sports and Fitness, Abdullah Rafiu. The event was also attended by key officials including Commissioner of Sports Muhammad Tolal, Football Association of Maldives FAM President Ahmad Tariq, PSM's Managing Director Ahmed Shakib, and Deputy Managing Director Abdullah Yamin. During the ceremony, PSM unveiled details of its World Cup programs, including match analysis shows, presenters, and analysts. PSM will also organize public participation activities and programs as part of PSM's efforts to build up excitement for the tournament. The official World Cup ball, named Chayonda, was also unveiled during the ceremony by the Sports Minister, FAM President, and PSM Managing Director. PSM and MediaNet also announced that viewers with the MediaNet connection anywhere in the Maldives will be able to watch the World Cup completely free through PSM channels. This marks the first time Maldivians will be able to watch the World Cup for free. The 2026 FIFA World Cup will be hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada and will feature 48 teams. PSM says it aims to bring the World Cup atmosphere to homes, public viewing areas, and big screens across the Maldives and make this year's tournament a special experience for Maldivian fans.
European shares slips as inflation worries lingered, with no sign of a deal between the US and Iran to end their 3-month-old war.
Global bond rout from last week deepened with inflation figures from the US, Germany, China, and Japan, spooking investors and weighing on the world's stock markets. Over the weekend, a drone strike caused a fire at a nuclear power plant in the UAE. Saudi Arabia reported intercepting 3 drones, and US President Donald Trump warned that Iran must act fast. It cements fear that the war is unlikely to end soon, as the Strait of Hormuz, a conduit for 20% of the world's energy supply, remains shuttered. Oil prices rose. The pan-European Stoxx 600 was down 0.5% at 604.09 points after ending the previous week lower. Most regional bourses were also in the red, with Spain's IBEX 35 and France's CAC 40 off 0.5% and 0.9% respectively.
The head of the World Health Organization expresses concern at the speed and scale of the Ebola epidemic in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda as numbers of cases rises.
WHO Director General said that there are at least 500 suspected cases and 130 suspected deaths from Ebola since the new outbreak began. He said that is in addition to 1 confirmed death and 1 confirmed case in Kampala, Uganda, and 30 cases being confirmed in the Democratic Republic of Congo from the northeastern province of Ituri.
Early on Sunday, I declared a public health emergency of international concern over an epidemic of Ebola disease in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Uganda. This is the first time a Director General has declared a FIC before convening an emergency committee. I did not do this lightly. I did it in accordance with Article 12 of the International Health Regulations after consulting the ministers of health of both countries and because I'm deeply concerned about the scale and speed of the epidemic.
The current outbreak is caused by the Bundibugyo virus, which, unlike the more common Zaire strain of Ebola, has no approved virus-specific therapeutics or vaccine. While Congo has experienced tackling Ebola, the late detection and quick spread of this outbreak have alarmed health experts. WHO's Director General also said the risk of a worsening outbreak of Hanta virus, which began on a luxury cruise ship 2 weeks ago, was low, but said that the WHO was urging affected countries to continue monitoring the ship's passengers and crew carefully.
Pep Guardiola will leave Manchester City after a decade in charge, according to media reports, bringing to a close one of the most successful spells in Premier League history, with former Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca expected to replace him.
The 55-year-old will reportedly announce his departure shortly after City's final game of the season against Aston Villa at the Etihad Stadium, capping a campaign that included winning both the League Cup and the FA Cup trophies. Saturday's FA Cup victory over Chelsea secured Guardiola his 20th trophy with the club. Maresca, who left Chelsea 4 months ago, has been rumoured for months to be the top contender for the Spaniard's job. Guardiola's contract at City is set to expire in June 2027. Guardiola shrugged off questions about his future after the FA Cup final. When asked about the rumours by TNT Sports, Guardiola replied, "What rumours?" and then ended the interview saying, "Have a lovely evening."
Dozens of soccer fans lined up outside the Bank of Mexico in Mexico City to obtain the newly released World Cup commemorative coins ahead of the 2026 tournament, set to be co-hosted by Mexico, the United States and Canada.
Collectors and football enthusiasts gathered from early morning hours, while some arriving before dawn, to secure one of the limited tokens required to purchase the coins. Long lines formed as demand outpaced supply, with officials distributing a set number of tickets per day. Many buyers describe the coin as both collectible items and symbols of national pride tied to Mexico's football history. Some highlighted the emotional significance of the upcoming tournament, noting that it marks another World Cup hosted in the country after previous editions in 1970 and 1986. Bank staff said large crowds have been arriving from across the country, with some people waiting overnight for a chance to acquire the coins. The coins, released nationwide, commemorate World Cup cities including Mexico City, Monterrey, and Guadalajara.
That concludes news for now. Thank you for watching PSM News. Have a good day.